It's the beginning of chapter 41. Welcome back to the story. We have a lot of exciting things coming up, so let's get started. Katsuki is in his office, keeping an eye on the monitors. He's making sure that everything is running smoothly and that everyone is doing their job. He's also keeping an eye on the people in the break room and making sure they're having fun. Katsuki's eyes widen as he sees Alexander reaching for the coffee cup. He's worried that he might break it. He quickly presses the button on his desk, and he speaks into the speaker. Alexander, don't touch that coffee cup. It's not safe for you to be playing with it. Katsuki laughs, and he nods. Okay, I'll be right down. Just wait for me and don't touch anything else. I'll be there in a minute. Katsuki smiles and he stands up from his desk. He leaves his office and he heads downstairs to the break room. He walks over to Alexander and he kneels down to his level. Katsuki chuckles and he nods. I know you're thirsty, kiddo. Do you want some water or juice? Katsuki smiles and he nods. Okay, I'll get you some juice. What kind do you want? We have apple, orange, grape, and pineapple. Katsuki nods, and he gets up from the floor. He walks over to the fridge and he grabs a bottle of apple juice. He opens it and he hands it to Alexander. Katsuki smiles, and he ruffles Alexander's hair. You're welcome, kiddo. Is it good? Katsuki smiles, and he watches as Alexander walks away. He's glad that he's being a good kid, and that he's not getting into too much trouble. He hopes that Alexander has a nice time with mommy, and that he doesn't cause any trouble. Katsuki stops in his tracks, and he listens closely to the noise. He's curious to know what it is. He walks over to the vent, and he looks inside. Katsuki's eyes narrow, and he looks at the vent with concern. He's not sure what the clicking noise is, but he's getting worried. He puts his ear to the vent and he listens more closely. Katsuki's eyes widen, and he looks worried. You've been hearing noises too? Do you think it's anything serious? Katsuki looks at Jeremy, and he smiles. Okay, that's not a bad idea. I think you're small enough to fit inside the vents. I'll lift you up and you can go check it out. Katsuki smiles and he picks Jeremy up. He lifts him up and he places him inside the vent. Okay, now you can go check the vents. Just be careful in there and make sure you don't get stuck. And be sure to come back and tell me if you find anything. Katsuki waits patiently for Jeremy to come back. He's hoping that he'll be able to find the source of the clicking noise and figure out what it is. Katsuki's eyes widen and he listens closely. He can hear the clicking noise and he's starting to get worried. Yes, I can hear you. What do you see? Katsuki's eyes widen and he looks worried. Oh no, that's not good. We need to get everyone out of here as soon as possible. Do you see any way to disarm the bomb? Katsuki nods, and he looks worried. Yes, that's a good idea. Get it out of here as quickly as possible, and be careful not to set it off. We don't have much time. Katsuki's eyes widen, and he looks at the bomb clock. He can see that the timer is counting down, and there's only an hour and 20 minutes left. Katsuki nods and he looks at Jake. Yes, it's a bomb. Jeremy found it in the vents, and it's set to go off in an hour and 19 minutes. We have to get everyone out of here now. Katsuki nods, and he hands the bomb clock to Jake. Okay, you can take it. Just be careful and make sure you don't set it off. And make sure you get far enough away from the city. Do you think you can do that? Katsuki smiles and he nods. Okay, then go. Get out of here, and make sure you get far enough away. And don't forget, You have an hour and 18 minutes left. Don't waste any time. Katsuki smiles, and he watches as Jake runs out of the bomb clock. He's worried about him, but he knows that Jake is very fast, and he'll be able to get the bomb out of the city in time. He just hopes that he'll be okay. Katsuki's eyes widen as he sees the bomb explode in the ocean. He lets out a sigh of relief, and he's glad that Jake was able to get it out of the city in time. He's also impressed by how fast Jake was able to run with the bomb clock. Katsuki smiles, and he runs over to him. Oh my gosh, you're back. I was so worried about you. Are you okay? Did you get far enough away from the city? Katsuki catches him and he holds him close. Shh, it's okay. You did it. You're safe now. Just rest and take a minute to catch your breath. Katsuki looks at Jeremy and he sighs. He's exhausted from running so fast. He had to get the bomb clock out of the city as fast as possible and he did it. But he's exhausted from using his super speed. Katsuki nods, and he carries Jake to the break room. He sets him down on the couch, and he covers him with a blanket. He sits down next to him, and he holds his hand. Are you okay? Can you hear me? Katsuki smiles, and he caresses his cheek. Shh, it's okay. Just rest. You did so much today. You saved all of us from that bomb. Katsuki smiles, and he watches as Alexander holds Jake. He's happy that he's there to comfort him. Alexander, be careful. Don't get too close to Jake. He's exhausted from running so fast, and he needs to rest. But he's okay. He's just tired. Katsuki smiles and he nods. He's glad that Alexander is there to comfort Jake. He knows that Jake needs to rest and he's happy that he's getting the support he needs. That's okay. You can hold him. Just don't squeeze him too hard. Katsuki laughs and he shakes his head. Well, Alexander can be a little stubborn sometimes. He knows that Jake is his father, but he still calls him mommy because he wants to. It's just his way of showing that he loves him. Katsuki smiles, and he nods. Yeah, I think it's cute too. I don't mind that he calls me daddy, it just shows how close he is to me. And I know that he loves Jake just as much as he loves me. Katsuki laughs, and he nods. Yeah, we are. We're a big, happy family, and we're all very close. It's not always easy, but we make it work. And I'm sure you'll find someone who will make you happy too. Katsuki smiles and he nods. Well, you are pretty small. I'll give you that. But you're still young, and there's plenty of time for you to find someone who'll love you for who you are. Don't worry. You'll find the right person. Katsuki laughs and he nods. Yes, I do think so. And you know what? When you meet the right person, you'll know. It's like they say, when you know, you know. So just keep an open mind and don't rush things. When the time is right, she'll come along. Katsuki smiles and he looks at Jake. He thinks back to the first time they met and how their relationship has developed since then. Well, I was out on patrol that day, and I saw Jake sitting alone on the bench. He looked down at his luck. So I decided to go over there and talk to him, and we just hit it off. And we've been together ever since. I think fate brought us together, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I love Jake. He is my everything. Katsuki laughs and he nods. I know, right? I'm so lucky to have him in my life. We have our ups and downs, but we always find a way to work through them and come out stronger than ever. And I'm so grateful to have him by my side. Katsuki looks down at his wedding ring and he smiles. Yes, this is my wedding ring. Jake and I got married a few years ago and we're very happy together. These rings symbolize our love and commitment to each other. We always wear them as a reminder of our vows and the promises we made to each other on our wedding day. Katsuki smiles, and he nods. Yes, Jake wears the sun ring. It's a symbol of his strength and courage. He's always been my rock, and I'm so lucky to have him in my life. We're like the sun and the moon, always there for each other, and always in each other's lives. Katsuki laughs and he nods. Thank you. I'm glad that you understand. Jake and I have had our ups and downs, but we've always found a way to work through them. We're always there for each other, and we're always trying to make each other happy. We're a team, and we always will be. Katsuki smiles, and he nods. Okay, have fun. Just be careful and don't overwork yourself. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to ask. Katsuki watches as Jeremy walks away, and he sighs. He's glad that he had the chance to talk to Jeremy, and he's glad that he was able to share his story with him. Katsuki laughs, and he nods. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You needed it after running so fast to get the bomb clock out of the city. Katsuki smiles and he nods. Yes, everyone is okay. Jeremy was just here checking on you, and I was just making sure that you were all right. You did a great job today, and we're all very proud of you. Katsuki smiles and he kisses Jake on the cheek. You did more than help. You saved the whole city from that bomb. You're a hero. Katsuki nods, and he looks at Jake with a worried expression. I know, it was a close call, but we did it. We found it in time and we got the bomb clock out of the city. And now we're all safe. That's what matters. We're a team, and we always look out for each other. Katsuki looks at Jake, and he thinks about what he's saying. He's right. The bomb clock was planted by someone, and they could be planning to strike again. They need to figure out who is behind this, and make sure that they don't cause any more harm. Katsuki nods and he looks at Jeremy. That's right. You were in the vents when you found it, and you remember the exact location where you found it. That's important. We need to figure out who planted it there and why. And we need to make sure that they don't try to strike again. Katsuki nods and he looks at Jake. He's impressed by his quick thinking and his ability to come up with a plan. That's a good idea. We should check the security footage to see if we can find any clues as to who might be behind this. Let's go up to my office and we can start looking through the footage. Katsuki smiles, and he follows Jake to his office. He's glad that Jake is taking the lead on this, and that he's willing to help out. They walk into his office, and he sits down in front of the computer. He starts pulling up the security footage from the vents. Katsuki nods and he watches the footage. They both look at the screen and they watch as the footage shows everyone coming and going from the bathroom area. They both look carefully at each person and they're trying to find anyone who seems suspicious or out of place. Katsuki pauses the video, and he looks at the image of Peach. He looks at the book bag that he's carrying, and he can see that it's filled with something. He looks at Jake, and he nods. Peach does look suspicious, and that book bag looks like it could have the bomb clock in it. I think we should talk to him, and see what he has to say. Katsuki sighs, and he looks at Jake. He's not sure why Peach would do this, but it looks like he's the one who put the bomb clock in the vents. He stands up, and he starts walking towards the door. Let's go talk to Peach. We need to find out what his motive was, and why he did this. Katsuki nods, and he walks over to the training area. He sees Peach working out on one of the machines, and he walks over to him. Peach, can we talk to you for a moment? Katsuki looks at Peach, and he's not sure how to approach this. He doesn't want to accuse him outright, but he also wants to get to the bottom of this. Did you put a bomb clock in the vents earlier today? Katsuki looks at Peach with a concerned expression. Made to do it? Who made you do it? Katsuki looks at Peach, and he's shocked to hear this. He can't believe that a villain would do something so cruel, and that Peach would be forced to put a bomb in the agency. I'm so sorry that you were put in that situation. It was wrong of the villain to threaten your family. But it's good that you told us the truth. Do you know who this villain is? Do you know where he is now? Katsuki nods and he looks at Peach. He's starting to get an idea of who this villain might be. Do you remember anything else about him? Was he very tall? Was he wearing a mask or any kind of costume? Katsuki thinks about the description, and he remembers something. There's only one villain that matches that description. The lizard Shuichi Iguchi. He's a very dangerous villain, and he's known for his cruelty. I'm going to need you to stay here while I go check something out. Katsuki smiles, and he puts his hand on Peach's shoulder. Don't worry, you did the right thing by telling us the truth. We'll take care of this. Just stay here, and I'll be back soon. Katsuki nods, and he follows Jake out of the training area. He's glad that Peach was willing to tell them the truth, and he's also glad that they have a lead on who might be behind the attack. They walk out of the agency, and they head towards the lizard's hideout. Katsuki nods and he looks at Jake. He knows that this is a risky situation, but they have to stop the lizard and stop him from causing any more harm. Yeah, I know it's dangerous, but we have to do this. We have to stop the lizard and find out why he wants to destroy our agency. Katsuki smiles and he nods. I know. That's why we have to stop him. We're not going to let him destroy all the hard work we've put into this agency. We're going to make sure that he doesn't hurt anyone else. Katsuki nods, and he whispers back to Jake. Okay, let's be as quiet as possible. We don't want to alert the lizard and give him time to prepare for us. We'll sneak in and try to catch him off guard. Katsuki and Jake are both very quiet as they sneak inside the lizard's hideout. They move slowly and carefully, avoiding any of the guards that are stationed around the area. They're both hoping to find the lizard and get the drop on him. Katsuki looks at the lizard, and he sees that he's making more bombs. He looks at Jake, and he whispers back, "Let's stay hidden and see what he's planning to do with those bombs. We need to gather as much information as we can before we confront him." Katsuki and Jake both keep a close eye on the lizard as he talks to someone. They're trying to listen in and hear what he's saying. Katsuki and Jake both listen in as the lizard talks to his accomplice. They're shocked to hear that he's planning to destroy the agencies and that he's not done with the bombs. They need to find a way to stop him before it's too late. Damn it! He's not going to stop until he gets what he wants. We need to do something now. Katsuki looks at Jake and he nods. Okay, what's your plan? Katsuki looks at Jake and he nods. He knows that it's a dangerous plan, but it might be their only chance of stopping the lizard. Okay, I'll go after the accomplice. You go after the lizard. We'll have to work together to take them both down. Let's do this. Katsuki thinks about the idea and he nods. That could work. If we make it dark, they won't see us coming, and it will be easier for us to surprise them. Let's try it. Katsuki raises his hand and he aims his quirk at the lamp. He shoots his quirk, and the lamp goes out, making it suddenly dark in the warehouse. Katsuki nods, and he starts moving towards the accomplice. The accomplice is caught off guard, and he doesn't. Katsuki nods, and he starts moving towards the accomplice. The accomplice is caught off guard, and he doesn't see Katsuki coming. Katsuki tackles the accomplice to the ground, and he pins him down. The accomplice struggles to get free, but Katsuki has him in a tight grip. Katsuki watches as Jake successfully tackles and paralyzes the lizard. The lizard is stunned and he can't move. He looks at Jake with a shocked expression on his face. Katsuki has the accomplice pinned down, and he's also stunned by the sudden attack. The accomplice is stunned, and he's unable to move. Katsuki and Jake have successfully captured both the lizard and his accomplice. They're both shocked by how quickly they were able to take them down. Katsuki looks at the lamp and he smiles. He can't believe they managed to pull off such a quick and effective attack. The lizard and his accomplice are both unable to move, and they're both caught. Katsuki nods and he smiles. Jake's plan did work, and they were able to take down both the lizard and his accomplice. It was a risky plan, but it paid off in the end. You were right. Your plan worked. We managed to capture them both without any casualties. You did a great job. Katsuki looks at the bombs, and he nods. He's glad that they're not activated, but he also knows that it's dangerous to leave them in here. Yay. Let's destroy them. We can't risk these bombs being activated and causing harm to anyone else. And we definitely can't let the lizard and his accomplice go, so let's take them back to the agency. Katsuki nods, and he smiles. He's impressed by how easily Jake is able to carry both the lizard and the accomplice. He turns to the bombs, and he begins to destroy them one by one with his quirk. It's a lot of work, but it's necessary to make sure that they don't fall into the wrong hands. Katsuki finishes destroying the bombs, and he nods. He looks at Jake, and he smiles. I think we got them all. Let's get these two back to the agency. We can't let the lizard and his accomplice escape again. Katsuki nods and he starts searching the lizard and his accomplice. He checks their pockets and their clothes for anything that might be dangerous. He finds a couple of knives and other weapons that they could use if they woke up, so he takes them away. He also finds some documents and other items that he thinks might be important to their plans. Katsuki looks at the map, and he's shocked to see that the lizard has a plan to attack all the agencies in the city. He looks at the map, and he sees that there are several red X's marked on it. He's afraid that the bombs might have already gone off at some of the agencies. This is bad. We need to get to all of these agencies and make sure that the bombs haven't gone off yet. We need to get to them as quickly as possible. Katsuki nods, and he looks at Jake. He's right. They need to get to the agencies as quickly as possible. They can't let the lizard's plan succeed. Okay, let's get going. I'll ride on your back if you can carry me. Katsuki climbs onto Jake's back, and he wraps his arms around his neck. He's ready to go. Katsuki is shocked by how fast Jake is moving. He holds on tightly and he closes his eyes, trying to block out the wind and the speed. He knows that they need to get to the agency as quickly as possible, so he's trusting Jake to get there in time. Katsuki opens his eyes and he looks around. They're inside the lobby of the first agency and he can see that the place is empty. He looks at Jake and he's surprised by how fast he was able to get here. You're really fast. We got here in record time. Let's see if the bomb has gone off. Katsuki nods and he follows Jake to the bathroom. He's hoping that the bomb hasn't gone off yet and that they can disarm it in time. They both head towards the vent and they look inside it to see if they can find the bomb. Katsuki watches as Jake manages to disarm the bomb. He's relieved that they were able to stop it before it could go off. He smiles at Jake and he nods. Good job. You disarmed the bomb. Let's go back to the lobby and check the other areas of the agency to make sure there's nothing else we need to deal with. Katsuki nods and he looks at the map. The next agency is quite a ways away and they don't have much time. Okay, let's go. We'll have to run even faster than we did before. We can't let this one go off either. Katsuki nods and he climbs onto Jake's back again. He knows that he needs to use his sweat to make Jake's speed even faster. He focuses his quirk and he starts sweating. I'm ready. Let's go. Katsuki holds on tight and he closes his eyes. He can feel the wind rushing past him and he can feel Jake's body vibrating against his. He's amazed at how fast Jake is running and he can feel the power of his quirk. He can feel time slowing down behind him, as if the world around them is moving in slow motion. Katsuki is amazed at how quickly Jake is able to run to the next agency and disarm the bomb. He's holding on tight, and he's not letting go. He can feel the time slowing down even more, and he can feel the world around him almost stopping. It's like they're in their own bubble, and nothing else matters but them and their mission. Katsuki is breathing heavily as he sees Jake finally stop outside the agency. He's impressed by how fast Jake was able to run and how quickly he was able to disarm the bombs. He gets off Jake's back, and he goes over to him. "Are you okay? You ran so fast. That must have been really tiring." Katsuki sees that Jake has passed out, and he quickly kneels down next to him. He checks his pulse, and he's relieved to see that it's still beating. He looks around, and he sees that there's no one around. "Damn it, we need to get him somewhere safe. Let's get him back to the agency and get him some rest." Katsuki carries Jake back to the agency, and he places him down on a couch. He checks his pulse again, and he's relieved to see that he's still breathing. He covers him with a blanket, and he sits down next to him, waiting for him to wake up. Katsuki is sitting next to Jake, and he looks over at him as he starts to wake up. He's relieved to see that he's awake. "Hey, you're awake. How do you feel?" Katsuki smiles and he nods. "Yeah, I saw it. It was incredible how fast you were going. You ran so fast that it felt like time slowed down for us. It was like we were in our own little world." Katsuki laughs and he looks at Jake. "You know, I think you're right. We should give it a name. Do you have any ideas?" Katsuki thinks about the name for a moment, and he nods. Velocity VOD. I like it. It's a good name for it. It sounds like something powerful, and it captures the feeling of us moving so fast and being so close together. Katsuki smiles and he nods. He likes the name and he likes the idea of having a special move for the two of them to use together. Okay, I think that sounds like a great idea. From now on, whenever we want to use our speed together, we'll just say the word VOD, and we'll know what to do. We'll be unstoppable. Katsuki smiles, and he looks at Jake. He's glad that Jake is excited about the idea of their special move. He thinks it's going to be a great way to make their relationship even stronger. Yeah, it does. I can't wait to use it with you again. It was such a rush, and it felt like we were in our own world. Katsuki shakes his head, and he looks at Jake with a puzzled expression. No, I don't. What is a VOD? Katsuki nods, and he understands what Jake is saying. It makes sense that they would be able to reach a VOD speed when they were running together. Ah, I see. That makes sense. So we're like explosions now. We're moving so fast, and we can cause so much damage together. Katsuki smiles, and he nods. Yeah, that makes sense. We're not actually causing explosions, but we're moving at the same speed as one would go off. It's a really cool way to think about it. We're like our own little force of nature. Katsuki laughs, and he nods. I think it's a great name for us. It's fitting that we have our own special move, and that we can move at the speed of explosions. It's something that only we can do together. Katsuki smiles, and he looks at Jake. Yeah, it's really awesome. We have something special that no one else can do. We're really good together. I'm glad we have this move and that we can use it to save people and stop villains. Katsuki thinks about it, and he realizes that he is feeling a bit tired and drained from the day's events. He's not sure if it's from the adrenaline or something else. I'm feeling a little bit tired and I think I might need to rest. But it was all worth it to save the agencies and to stop the lizard's plans. I'm glad that we were able to do that. Katsuki nods, and he gets up from the couch. He's still feeling a little bit tired, but he's also curious to see what the lizard and his accomplice are like when they're awake. Okay, let's go check on them. Katsuki watches as the lizard and his accomplice start to wake up. He can see that they're starting to get their bearings, and they're looking around the room. He looks at Jake, and he whispers to him. They're starting to wake up. Let's see what they have to say. Katsuki is surprised by the lizard's reaction. He can't believe that he's trying to blame Peach for the whole thing. He looks over at Jake and he whispers, "I can't believe he's trying to blame Peach. He's the one who planned the whole thing, and he's the one who tried to destroy the agencies. He's just trying to shift the blame because he's scared." Katsuki nods and he understands why the lizard is blaming Peach. He thinks that it's a cowardly thing to do, but he also understands that the lizard is just trying to save himself. Of course he would blame Peach. He knows that he's the one who's responsible for this whole thing, but he wants to make Peach look like the bad guy so that he can get away with it. Katsuki nods, and he's glad that the lizard and his accomplice are in their custody. He looks over at Jake and he smiles. That's right. We saved the agencies, and we stopped him from doing any more damage. He's not going anywhere for a long time. Katsuki thinks about Peach for a moment, and he's not sure what to do with him. He was forced to help the lizard, but he still caused a lot of damage, and he was going to be a part of destroying the agencies. I'm not sure. I know that he was innocent and that he was just following orders, but he still did a lot of damage. I'm not sure if we can just let him go. Katsuki nods, and he agrees with Jake. I think you're right. He might get charged, but it will probably be a much lesser sentence since he was just following orders. But we'll have to see what the higher-ups say. Katsuki laughs, and he nods. Okay, let's go into the break room. I could go for a donut too. I'm sure they'll be able to handle the situation for a few minutes. Katsuki and Jake are having a good time eating their donuts and enjoying the break. They're laughing and talking about what happened with the lizard and his accomplice. They're glad that they were able to stop them from causing any more damage, and that they're safe inside the agency now. Katsuki looks over at Alexander, and he smiles. Hey, Alexander, do you need anything? Are you having fun with your game? Katsuki laughs, and he nods. I do think it's better than being at home alone. You can have fun here, and you get to spend time with us. We're glad that you're enjoying yourself. Katsuki smiles and he looks over at Jake. He's glad that Alexander is having a good time and that he's safe and happy. Katsuki nods and he gets up from his seat. He's feeling a little bit tired himself and he's ready to go home. Good idea. It is getting late and we should get Alexander to bed. We can come back to the agency tomorrow and check on the situation with the lizard and his accomplice. Katsuki nods and he smiles. He's relieved that they don't have to worry about the lizard and his accomplice anymore. They can go home and relax and let the agency handle the situation. Okay, let's go home and relax. I think we both deserve it after today. Alexander laughs as Jake picks him up and puts him over his shoulder. He's having fun being carried around like this, and he's enjoying being with his parents. Katsuki smiles and he walks over to them. He takes Alexander's hand and they start to head out of the agency. Katsuki and Jake are driving home, and they're both feeling tired from the day's events. They're happy to be heading home, and they're looking forward to relaxing and spending time together with Alexander. Jake and Katsuki go into their room and they lay down in bed. They're both feeling tired after a long day, and they're ready to relax and get some much-needed rest. They cuddle together in bed, and they fall asleep in each other's arms. That was an exciting chapter. We got to see the development of Jake and Katsuki's relationship and how they're able to work together to defeat villains and save the day. It was also great to see how they're able to bond with Alexander and how they're able to make him feel loved and safe. They're definitely a family now, and it's clear that they all care for each other deeply. Bye, Kuti.
Talkie, Dream AI, Wonder Kingdom.